All right. Check, check, check. Great. I've done a lot of work on the record, this Overland 2026 conference project. I dove into some extra. Let me move this over just a sec. Moved in some extra vocal editing on Rachel's voice. Down here. I basically just used repitch again. So I would notice, hey, she went to the wrong note. And then I would use repitch again. And then move things around and render. So I did that basically for the song she leads mostly. She was fine for her verses. It was kind of usually when the energy level kind of went up, she was falling flat a lot of the time. These are all, missionaries first, not singers first. They are people that are trying to bring the encounters of themselves as well as the encounters of others to everyone involved, and I'm not expecting her to be perfect, so I have no problem doing this. But yeah, I just pushed her up usually most of the time. And then I started diving into actually drum cleaning. So this, sorry, I don't have my keycaster on, so you don't see what I'm typing over here. Is going to be this. You just saw my Facebook. Seosin, amazing band. Yeah, just making sure you can hear me, and you can. Great. Actually, I should turn it the other way. I'll need to get a Stream Deck just for that, I think. Anyways, so I started basically editing Tom's my normal way, which is actually cutting everything other than what's there. So I'm going to play it a little bit.
Have you heard that the Son of Man, Son of God, through the righteous one, it is done.
So what's interesting is, like, yeah, I cut it before the snare hit, but there's still some ring out on that tom. Dum dum. My normal thing is I want you to care about the snare hit more than I want you to care about the length of the ring of the tom. So I use these mics more so of the sounds over there, the sounds over there. Yeah, there's some impact, but the sounds over there, the sounds over there. And I don't like having the tom so loud that you kind of notice. However, I do like them loud enough that if you soloed the drums, you would notice. But basically with the rest of the record, you don't really notice that the toms just get chopped. Cool. And for a reference, here's it with the floor tom left over. So it's a lot cleaner, and you'll actually hear all this, all that bleed. Actually, like, a lot of the cymbal comes out, a lot of that mid-range of the cymbal. So which is one of the reasons why people tell you not to solo things and everything does work together. But if you're not completely edited and you still have bleed, then the sound of the cymbals are going to change when you then start taking out the toms or the tom mics or like gating the snare or sampling the snare. So if you boosted, so say you're mixing this and then you start editing the toms and you boosted a ton of top end and had no mid-range and the overheads because there was all this mid-range cymbal stuff on the toms, and then you took away the tom mics, you would have a very strange too bright of cymbal sound. So I tend to kind of just understand what overheads sound like, room mics sound like, how I want the drum hits to sound like. And then, as I said, my process is a tracking chain and then a mixing chain, but I would even just understand like some of this sound's going to go away that's mixing together. So just be careful. Be careful not to mix too much in solo, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how your kick drum sounds on its own. It matters how your kick drum sounds in the mix and with everything else. You can make the best sounding kick drum in the world, but then as soon as you put the bass in, it sounds like it doesn't fit. So I believe in that. However, don't also never mix solo and never try to get the source correct, because it tends to have some isolation every once in a while. So if you're relying on the snare drum mic to make the bass drum sound, you're going to have a bad time when the gate comes in. Basically, that's the idea. Anyways, I do this in a very crude fashion by just legit cutting it. I do have a hotkey though for this, and if you want it, write a comment. But it's basically just key commands on Pro Tools of moving things around and selecting something and crossfading and cutting, muting, blah, 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 blah. Something I've developed because it was something that I kept doing over and over again, and I wanted one button to do it for me. So I will do a little bit more of this kind of editing. But what I want to also try, and what I think I mentioned earlier, was I wanted to try this new Sonics Gate 2. I've heard a lot of people really liking it. And what it does is it gates it, but it does what Tom Lord Algae does, basically. And it EQs after the gate the top end. So it will, so this is an Audio Suite plugin. It will basically say, do this. The gate opens up, right? And then it will crossfade into a low passed sound, i.e. when this cymbal comes in, which this is an overhead, so you can tell there's a cymbal there. Done this long enough, I know what a cymbal looks like, I know what a tom looks like, I know what a snare looks like, I know what a kick drum looks like, just by the waveform. So I could tell there's a cymbal there. It's going to then clean it up. So see how there's all that sound, but there's none of that cymbal bleed. Crazy useful. Doom. Tom Lord Algae does it. It's amazing. Takes a lot of time. I could probably create a key command to help us do it. Maybe, because what you have to do is you have to do the crossfade at a certain time. And I don't know how I would program that. But anyways, what Sonics does is it basically allows the gate to come off in a middle part. So let me try to recreate it almost using the gate. So here's a gate. We'll do the tom. We'll do decay. I'm gonna guess, 40 hertz is probably fine. So the detection is the normal gate, right? This is the threshold. This gate's too low. It's hitting off of, it's hitting off of the snare. So I'm going to need to bring the confidence up, or I'm going to have to do this or that. Cool. But it's this decay function that's pretty interesting. It has leveling, it has aligning, all that stuff. I don't care about that. I might care about it if it comes to be that I hear about it from enough people that they're like, I can't live without this. Sure. This is kind of the thing that I'm like, wow, this would be cool. Like, do you hear that? That's... So this is basically not gating this. As far as I realize. Let me put up the detection so it doesn't do that bit. Cool. So you heard even the snare later. That's nuts. So what I'm thinking about doing is leaving, because as I said, that's an EQ move. They did it at 387. Maybe I can move it up. So to have it be similar to what I did, I think I had it at 90. Dang it, I closed it out. So I did it at like 900 or 700, I don't remember. But a low pass filter, and they do a high pass filter, which is interesting, but that's fine, of extending the gate for only an EQ'd section. Yeah, this is obviously the gate amount. Is going to be fine, because it's funny how gates are like the default is 40 because that's the most that the SSL did. It just makes me laugh that like everyone like just 40 is good enough because it worked on the SSL, so it's just like that's the most, and it is like the most you'd probably need. But it's just funny that it defaults to 40. So I'm thinking I kind of want to try editing the like rest of the night or something like that, which is basically I'm going to be automating this confidence line. You can, sorry. Oh, my keister. Oh, it's still there. Yeah, weird. I guess it doesn't do clicks. Oops. So this is a control option command click on anything in Pro Tools. You can automate it. So I'm basically control option clicking enable automation. What I'll probably do is let's just do it now. Our record arm, I have plugin write enabled. Let's do write. Well, yeah, let's do write. And then let's just put it down a ton. So it's writing. Actually, let's go into preview. Boom. Oh, it's not doing that. Okay. Maybe I can't be in write mode for preview. Okay. Yes, I can't. Great. That's funny. All right, let's go back to that then. All right, let's put it all the way up. So there's not going to be ever, right? Threshold, nothing's ever a tom hit. Then we're going to bring it crazy far down so that there's tons of tom hits. Preview. At least like let's do 54. Preview. Preview. 54. Now what I can do is I can basically let me go to sound flow. I don't know why. Mation deck. Nope, that's not the right one. Maybe it should be mixing deck. I just installed 2 stream decks here, and it's kind of annoying because I think it's starting to put the other thing on the other thing. Anyways, I'll then punch the preview right that. So now, when toms happen, it's going to be like that, where it's going to be like, it's going to go down and then come up. What's interesting about that is I can basically go over here and then let's listen to the overheads and toms. Cool. So these are all the tom hits. And I'm like chopping off that bit a lot. I'm going to preview punch. I'm going to I don't have that tool there, but that's okay. Manual right to the end. What this should do is it should move up the confidence line so it won't trigger off of anything here. However, we will activate it here again. So let's do that. But it will continue to sound here, like the tom you'll get that low end of the tom here, but you won't get the crash. Let's listen to it. Let's mute the high tom. Okay, I did, which is interesting. I felt like I heard the tom crash out of there, but I didn't. That's pretty interesting. So the overheads are really good separation of the crashes. Wow. Yeah, I think I found my new thing. Here's how I used to do it. Here's how I used to do that. Other than, not that specifically, but here's how I used to edit toms. I would go here. I would then hit one button now, but I would hit a ton of buttons and do something like this. Cool. Those were all the key commands. What it's doing is it's cutting the region, then going back, taking from the last cut, going back all the way, shift, going back to the last break, and then, sorry, I'm going to do that crossfade. And we're just going to have that one tom hit be edited like Tom Lord Algae. That's funny. Sorry. Then it would go all the way back. So it's kind of doing this. So selecting it, Command E, right? That breaks it. Then you hit, I believe it's L. Yeah, L goes to the back thing. Then Shift L goes to even farther back, break. Then Command M. Then apostrophe, yes, apostrophe goes back to that. Cool. Then it goes forward a little bit, and I believe it even does nudge value forward. I don't remember what that is. Anyways, it basically nudge values 30 milliseconds or something back and forward the selection, and then hits fade. And then it's done. So that's how I used one key to do a bunch of key commands to basically do my tom editing style of before. So I would keep doing this. So for reference, this is how I used to, or how I do tom editing. As I said, I know what a tom hit looks like and what a tom or a snare hit looks like and all the crashes or whatnot, so I don't really have to listen to it anymore. I'll make sure of it. Like I could tell that there was not a tom hit here. It's a flam for starters, but then also this might be a tom hit actually. Nope. It's not. So I'm just gonna do that. Cool. I'm gonna delete the gate for right now. Alright. So as you said, or as you've seen, like I hit one button, move around, say I want to keep that. I don't want to keep what's before it. And this is where, this right here, is where it then starts sounding weird. Because if you hear this mess, so let's say there's that. Cool. You weren't hearing the high tom. So these are just the overheads and the toms. But you notice how chopped that floor tom was? Here's what it would be like with, this is not a new trick, this is just saving time. This is not a new trick. Not a new trick. One more time. It's not a new trick. It's a different way of doing it, and it's saving time. So see how much more natural that sounded? Rather than that's interesting. So if I can get a better sound, it's not the amount of clicks anymore because I fixed that with the basically my key command that turns all of my keys into one key. It's not the time. It's now the quality, because I was doing this, but I was losing all of this sustain at the end and the reality of what the tom kind of sounds like after the hit. And as I said, I don't really care. It's going to sound a little bit more MPCE or something, but I don't want people caring about the floor tom sustain when there's a bigger thing happening, like the downbeat of this kick drum and the downbeat of the chorus. Like I want them focused something else, not the floor tom. So maybe it might be doing detriment that I'm even leaving it in there anyways, but it's not natural. So maybe to make it sound a little natural, I'll do this other thing. So let's duplicate this. Delete everything before. And just have a moment where it's like, all right, we edited drums this way, and then we are going to edit drums this way. So that's the last hit that we edited drums this way. And now or toms this way. And then now we're going to edit toms the other way. So now there's going to be no Oxford gate on that one. There's going to be an Oxford gate on this one. I'm going to, yep, cool. All that's fine. There's nothing over there. Cool. All right, let me change something about this. Is the mixing? Yeah, let me change something about this mixing deck. Punch preview, but I like all those things. I don't think I need that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, that's what the thing I wanted. Oh, no, that's not the thing I wanted. I thought I had an automation deck. Sorry. I want manual right to end. Right? Why can't I find it? Right to end. Right on stop. No. No, I want it to be. It's not finding things. Right to stop. I think that's right. Right on stop? No, next breakpoint on stop? It's not stop, it's manual. I want not right on stop. Manual right. Right automation to next breakpoint. I think it's that. So it's that. Go to mixing deck. That's frustrating. Why can't I? Manual right. That's the one I want. Add to deck. Mixing deck. I don't know where it's going to go, but yeah, it's right there. Cool. I want to get rid of that. Put that. Sweet. So what I should be able to do is then hit 2 buttons on my stream deck. Well, that's a bummer. Broadcast deck. Turn that off. That's the reason why this is happening. Okay. So I should be able to hit 2 things on my stream deck. Let's actually preview. Preview toggle. Bring this down. You see the green over there, so that means preview's working. Hope you guys are all hearing this. All right. Check, check. Yep. So it's in preview mode. It's getting the level of what we want the preview to be. Cool. It sees the 3 tom hits, which happen right here. And I'm going to then preview punch, which is that button, and then manual right to next breakpoint. Breakpoint, it's not really breakpoint. Or maybe that's the breakpoint. I think that's the end, though. Yeah, breakpoint. Okay, breakpoint isn't actual waveform or clip breakpoint. It's actually where you select, at least how I use it mostly. So where I select, the end of the selection is the break point. So in this way, I'm going to just select just where I hit the toms and have the confidence be, I'm super confident you're going to find the tom there because I know it's there because I see it and it's right. Like, that's not the tom, that's not the tom. So we're going to get all that low end decay and sustain out of this. And this is going to be really good. The one caveat that I don't like about this is that I'm going to have to do one tom for the whole night and then do the other tom, whereas I like to bounce around with my key command and do both, but you can't have two previews captured. And that's a bummer. I wonder if automation capture, I don't think that would work the same way. Anyways, so I will have to do one tom at a time, which is a bummer, but sometimes that's faster anyways. So I'm going to go and I'm going to edit the toms like this now, and you're going to watch me. Enjoy. So another problem of doing it this way is when I am doing it my old way, I'm only working just like on the waveform. So it doesn't matter. But now it's playing. So if I hit manual write, it'll actually write from back there because that's where the playhead is. And my selection doesn't really mean as much. So if it's playing and I do it, it still does the, I guess it does the back, but maybe it doesn't do the front. Yeah, it doesn't do the front. So I have to be stopped, or I have to be in it in order for it to perfectly do the automation. It has to be either in the selection, like the playhead actually has to be in the selection, or I have to be stopped in music. I basically like getting ahead of the music. I like editing faster than real time. It just kind of like gives me an excitement. And so I let it run. I don't, and then every once in a while I'll stop and bring it to current time. But that kind of bums me out. Not gonna lie. I would like there to be a way for me to do that. It's also not my favorite thing. Maybe there's a delay. Why didn't it capture that? Ooh. Alright. Now you learned it. No, you didn't learn it. That's annoying. Why is it doing that? It's another thing that's making me like the older way better. So this is a tom hit. Boom, boom, boom. Which is interesting, because it captured all that. But it didn't capture it then. That's not cool. Yeah, to me that's a huge no-no. Basically, if I start it here, it captures it. 3 hits. 3 hits consistently. But if I start it here, only 2. Oh, Sonics. You're pretty close. You are pretty close. That's a bummer. That is a bummer. I'm just going to keep editing this way. It's not the worst thing in the world that this happened. It's one tom hit, one soft tom hit that's not capturing. Capture those 3. So I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, if you will, but it says there's 4 there, and I don't see 4. I mean, it's pretty impressive even at 99 confidence. Like, even if I didn't do that, it still picked up both of those. So that's pretty impressive. Maybe I don't have to go as far down as I think I do. What kind of makes me nervous about that is maybe some of these things that aren't toms actually get triggered and float in there. Cool. So my taking care of the confidence added that little ghost note. There's one more. Let's see if it adds it in. Nope, it didn't add it in. Maybe it wasn't a tom. It looks a little like a really soft tom hit, but maybe it's not. That's okay. So this is just a bunch of really soft tom stuff. So we're going to do the whole thing. So what's weird, so if I take this off, it's doing the low pass thing like here. I hear it on that. And it's not the worst thing in the world. Again, it's not the worst thing in the world. But if I did it the old way, there's a little bit more definition. It's another thing that makes me like it the other way. And again, it's because I'm not actually saving any time doing it this way. I'm supposed to be getting better quality. So what I'm getting better at is the sustain happenings during a cymbal moment on, I would say, a more normal experience, I guess. Like a normal drum beat. The toms towards the end, right next to a downbeat. That floor tom will then carry through into the chorus more often. But what I'm lacking now is the ghost notes and the definition of the subtleties. So what's more important? I don't know what's more important actually, but I guess maybe it might be project to project or moment to moment. That's not the best. Excuse me. Just checking to see if anyone's even watching. But that's okay. It's not about people watching. So yeah, there's pros and cons to this. I wanted to be amazed. I'm amazed by the decay function of this plugin. I'm amazed by the speed it fixes the issue of doing the Tom Lord Algae way of EQing and all that stuff. I would be curious if I could figure out a way to make my system actually have that more consistently. I think I can think of it. I think I know how. And do the hard crossfade EQ move that Tom Lord Algae does, but do it in one touch. And this is 2 touches. This is preview, punch, and then right, which isn't a lot. But I'm interested in, I could probably do the old school way of this decay trick in that automated way. Oops. Did that wrong. Did the old school. Tom. One, two, three, four. Why is there 5? Interesting. It took this snare hit. Yeah. That makes me think they're doing some sort of look ahead. That makes me think they're doing a look ahead. Which I would imagine there's a look ahead function, but that makes me think that they're opening it up just a little before. Just to make sure you get all the attack. Because I heard the snare. Anyways, and it shows that the snare is there, which is not there. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bummed. I've heard a lot of great things about this. And so when I'm making this selection for at least this way, I'm only worried about the transient of the hit. So I don't care when this, well, I do care, but I don't need this selection to actually make it to where I would, like for this, I would have maybe done my regular one here, and I would have let this ride hit actually bleed. Because if I would have done this, it would have been too obvious of a cut, and so I've just learned my old school way. Doing that would be better. But for, say, Tom Lord Alge's version, he would make this full cut, and then he would do a crossfade here of a low pass. Yeah, a low pass. And so that is great and all. But all I care about, I'm just moving the confidence of, or basically the threshold of this gate. And I just need the threshold to be lower just when it hits. So I don't need to select all of this and have it be perfect, because what's going to happen possibly is that it thinks this is a tom hit and it will open the gate again, which I don't want it to do. I want it to open the gate here and then let the decay be like this. So, reason why for the selections being different for this automation compared to what I normally do when drum editing. So it picked up that snare hit before. It wasn't even a snare hit, it's a bass hit. Why? Why did it do that? I guess now it can read that that's a kick drum, which if that's true, that's pretty cool. Good. It blocked that out. Awesome. And so that sound, the snare, like this, like I'm gonna guess 600-ish hertz kind of thing, doesn't happen because the gate wasn't launched. but it will happen when the gate is launched. That's because this decay is trying to let all the sustain of the tom in, but it's not. It can't duck also the snare and let the tom through, right? Because they're living in the same mic, they're living in the same frequency spectrum. That's when things like RX and spectrograph pulling out certain things and within time is a necessity if you want to get that detailed. This is very nitpicky stuff. But if you want to get that detailed and take out the snare hit of that thing, blah, 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 I would go in and RX it. But I wouldn't really do that. So now I can't just edit and let it roll. And it didn't even pick up that. Because it thought it's a snare drum. That's not great. That is not great. Okay. I don't know if I can use this. I wanted to get through the whole thing, and I got through a third of one tom of half the night. And I am upset that it's not detecting things how I thought, like how I've been led to believe it's amazing at it. If there's something I'm doing wrong, if there's a different way that people think I should be doing this, let me know. It's not working for me. It's not. Not so much that the quality isn't better when it works. It's just that it's not working right all the time. And I'll be completely honest, it bothers me that one time I'll play it, it works right because I was at playhead a certain way, and then it wasn't working at the other time when a playhead was at a different place. That gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. I don't want to have to be worried that one time it's going to play this way and another time it's going to play this way. With gates. If it's gates, no thank you. So I'm going to delete the plugin and edit it the same way I did before. But maybe I'll find the way to do the Tom Lord Algae thing my own way with one hit or 2 hits, maybe 2 hits. I think I could do 2 hits. And we'll try to do that. Yeah, we'll try to do that. Okay. Let me not talk for a while and figure out how to do this. By the way, this is the key command that I was thinking of when it came to extending the selection. It's Alt Shift number pad minus or plus or whatnot. You extend the selection more, less, blah, blah, via the nudge value. So this nudge value, so 10 milliseconds. So I extend it 10 milliseconds to the left, 10 milliseconds to the right, and then I hit fade, and then I undo that, right? So, yeah. I don't know what else to say about that, but cool. All right, let's duplicate this. Let's do Tom Lord Algae, Tom, clean. Sure, let's give credit where credit's due. I mean, I don't know if he learned it from somewhere, and I should give credit even farther back, but that's where I learned it, was Tom. So, so we're not going to do this part of it. We're going to still do my cut thing, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have this be 2 clicks. And then this is actually going to be the click that yeah, this is going to be the click. Sorry. This is going to be the click, i.e. the button push that does the preset move of the audio suite. So it's going to write an audio suite. It's going to then crossfade it in a certain amount. So let's figure out how we have to do that in key commands so that I can put it together. I might actually have to do this as a macro unless I look up how to do. Obviously, I was looking to buy a distressor or something. Sound flow form. And then how do I preset audio suite render? No, I want it to close. Yeah, I know that there's macros. It might be better to do it as a macro. Let's make a macro first. Render pro Q TLA Tom clean. Cool. We're going to do a macro first. All this macro is going to do is going to go to Audio Suite, FabFilter 4 Pro, and then what I want it to do, I keep doing that, is do this. I think that's probably enough. Cool. We're going to save this preset as, now we're going to go into SLH Tom clean. Ha. Sorry, Tom. So now that's the preset name. What I'm going to do is Audio Suite render Audio Suite plugin. Maybe preset audio suite. Cool. Whole workflow, right? Plugin category. Plugin category. EQ. Plugin name. Fab Filter Pro Q4. Fab Filter Pro Q4. Preset category path. I don't know about that. SLH Tom Clean. Alright. I'm going to make this trigger be a keyboard hit. I know everyone's going to be upset about that because that is the, no one's going to be upset about it. It's fine. Cool. All I'm going to do is activate this preset, right? No. Can't do the preset selector. Okay. Audio suite. Open audio suite plugin. EQ. Fab filter. Pro Q4. This is going to just open that, right? No? Really? Is there a space there? Maybe there's a space there. There. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Now, preset. SLH Tom Clean. I think that's what it's called. Or yeah, SLH Tom Clean. Alright, that should do it, right? Boom! And what I want to do is render audio suite plugin. Close audio suite plugin. Okay. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Sweet. Now what I need to do is write down what I'm hitting. Okay. Boom. So we're going to hit L. We're going to hit L, then Shift, Command, minus? I'm trying to remember. Dang it. That's not going to work. Okay, it is going to work. Okay. So we hit L, minus, 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 minus. Maybe 10 minuses, so it would be 100 milliseconds. So, dang it. L, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With command. L. All right, I'm good with that general crossfade, right? That general crossfade being the crossfade that happens into the low passed section, I think I'm good with that. So what that was 100 milliseconds to the left and 200 milliseconds to the right at the breakpoint. So whenever I select this, it's going to go 100 milliseconds there, 100 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds there. If I have to finesse it, I have to finesse it. It's just making a ton of stuff faster. So, sadly, what we're going to have to do now is key press. Ooh, I can actually do it in one go. That's right. Record. L. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then Command Shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Cool. That is the selection. Now I'm going to do a key press. That is the fade. Which is just F, but that's not the fade I really like to do on it, but we'll just do it for right now. And let's try it, guys. Let's try it. All right. So we just did all that. Cool. Now we're going to do this. It's slow. I wonder if there's a way to do a multiple of your nudge. Move a multiple of nudge value Pro Tools key command. Command option. No, that changes it. Yeah, that's not helpful. That's not helpful because that might be different. Or maybe that's what I should do. Yeah, maybe that's what I should do. Okay, I'll change the nudge value. So changing the nudge value to 100 is what? It's command option plus? Yeah, plus. So, sorry. Command option plus. We'll change it up. Then do that. Then I don't have to hit it 10 times. So we can delete that. Key press. Oop. Dread. Yeah. Let's do that. Command option plus. Stop. Sorry. Key press. So what that's going to be is now in here, it's going to be L minus shift command plus plus F. That's the selection. And then I need this to be number pad plus minus. Okay. I think that'll be slightly faster. Let's try it. Let's try it. Hmm. So I do the whole thing. I found out a flaw in my system. That's why I was spacing real fast. Cool. That works. The flaw in my system is this. I then have a non-low pass section right here. It makes me want to then just go make the selection of where I want the crossfade, and then do first shift. Yep. Okay. So before I even do all this, I have to. So instead of making a selection of I want it to be all of this, right? I'm going to now just put my playhead where I want the crossfade to be. And then I'm going to have it select to the end of the first crossfade. Shift apostrophe apostrophe. So key press shift apostrophe apostrophe. Before all that, then I go to the audio suite, then I go to the preset, then I do the render, then I close the audio suite, then I have that. And now I need to crossfade the end. Interesting. Or I guess I don't, because it's already crossfaded. No, I do, because it's crossfaded to that. Yes, I do need to crossfade. Okay. So, did this. I was doing that. Cool. Boom, 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 boom. Awesome. Did that. I needed to, before we do this, let's move over there. So we're selected in that. Let's go over there. 2, 3. Nope. So key press. Boom, boom. That's going to get us over there. This is before we're doing this. And let's do a 200 millisecond crossfade. So it would be doom. Yeah, it would be here now, though. So boom, boom. Ooh, that's a big crossfade. Let's do this. So there. So now it's here. Boom. Boom. We should be able to do that because there's always going to be. We should do it inward. So we'll go to the next breakpoint, and then we'll go inward, Command Shift minus. Ooh, but that doesn't make a selection. Ooh, but that does. Okay. Yep, cool. All right. What that was, that gets us to that endpoint. What I did was I made a selection of 200 milliseconds with Command Shift plus plus. But then I moved it back 20 milliseconds. Sorry, 20 milliseconds the first one, 20 milliseconds over by minus minus. Hit stop. Press key. Hit F. Boom. That will do the whole kit and caboodle. Alright, so we're doing this. Right? We gotta get to like maybe the whole thing. And then place where the playhead I want to like put the crossfade. I think that works. I think that works. Hoorah. Alright, two things I like about this. One of the things that I like about it is that I can do the old style way with no low end trick, like no Tom Lord Algae EQ, take out the cymbal bleed thing. Just do it on its own. And all I have to do is be like, hey, I want that thing because this is a moment where I kind of need it. And it would be that way. Things I also really like about this is that this is just on the waveform, so it's always going to be like this. And that plugin sadly wasn't always the same. So I'm going to continue to edit it like this. This is going to be fun now. So now I know that there's a crash right there. I'm going to hit right there. Ooh, that's sweet. I don't want to hear just the low tom. And what's crazy is so the Audio Suite plugin is going to render more than it actually is. So I can extend it. Oh man, that's sweet. That is sweet. Holy cow. Yes. It takes more time to get sweet, but it's very good. Cool. Notice how it took all those ride cymbal hits out, but I still have sustain. That's nuts. It's nuts. Guys, that's nuts. So now I can take out that. Holy cow. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So I'm going to actually do this. Sweet. And then I'm going to actually do this by hand, though. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out those ride hits. With this low end. And then I'll just do my own crossfades into it. That is sweet. That is awesome. Well, cool. Now I have this tool. So I've always had the cut away this thing tool. And you're seeing me basically develop my process, which is I haven't changed that other process in a long time. So for me, adding something new is very unique. So I'm glad you guys were along for the ride for that. And yeah, sound flow is amazing. Honestly, I use it a lot like I used to use Quick Keys. I don't even know if that program exists, but it was just a macro builder. I think it could even have done the audio suites thing. SoundFlow can do so much more. I use SoundFlow for the broadcast mix system here at Harborside, and I have it do all sorts of things. It sets the levels for um, all the vocals for all the songs. It does all the auto tune changes. It does all the getting people into service and out of service. It does all the transitions basically, which is crazy. It doesn't like read a mix and change levels. Like it can't do impossible things. Maybe someday it can, but it is an incredible tool. But what I use it a lot for, like most of this stuff, I used to use a macro tool to do it. Now I'm glad that it's in SoundFlow, and I'm glad I can use Stream Decks to like kind of hit stuff. I know I'm hitting just a keyboard shortcut, but that's because I just want it to be faster than even a Stream Deck, and also I want to be able to do it on my laptop. But man, this is a cool tool. Anyways, I'm gonna keep editing the Tom and stop talking. I'm changing the fade preset on the TLA Tom Clean preset thing that I made. So that's what happens when you get it really wrong. The reason why that happened was because there was no crossfade at the end. So there was no, it didn't come from, and there's a crossfade there. So it went to the very end of the whole session. So I have to do that tom clean thing in order to the other keyboard hit because there needs to be a crossfade there, or else it'll go to the very end of the region. So that's, I mean, you make all these things super useful, but they got to be set up for success, right? So it's interesting. Yeah, there we go. Yep, and then it makes the crossfade. Sweet. There we go. By the way, I just wanted an equal power crossfade. I think it does better with these kind of crossfades. I hope you understand what I mean. Well, that was behaving really weird. Okay, I think you guys get the idea. So I already did a ton of work up until that point. I just wanted to show you the process of, i.e., learning a new plugin or making a new skill. And so now you see that the new skill is being operated, like operational, and I can use it, and it's cool. So I'm just going to continue editing the toms, and I'll probably do some more acoustic guitar tracking here soon. And you might be along the ride for that. You might not be. You kind of, I think you saw quite a bit of that. So I might not need to show you more, but you get the idea. Just track the acoustics the whole time. So, yeah, this is how I personally make a record when it's this kind of style. Cool. Thanks.